Hey guys, it's Nisi, and thank you for joining me on another Vlogmas. I am 100% remote, so most of my time I'm in my house working. I try to get out of the house at least once per week, and on those days, I actually go to PJ's Coffee, local to me, but it's a New Orleans based woman owned business. If you know anything about PJ's Coffee, it's a franchise and it was started by a woman in New Orleans in 1978, which was so significant that that happened because that was just after only a few years actually after women got the right to own property and have businesses and things like that. So for a woman to start a business in New Orleans, a coffee business, which, if you know anything about the coffee business, is a majority male dominated business, it was significant. And this specific PJ's Coffee that I go to is a black woman owned business. So I love going there. I actually do enjoy coffee, though I try not to drink it as much as I used to. But I know on the one day a week that I go and meet my friend and wellness practitioner, it's a time for me to be able to be social and have coffee and talk about my ideas for things with her business and things that I want to do regarding gardening and my YouTube channel, which I really enjoy. On this day, they were having one of their master brewers in. So I did take a little break from, you can see me chatting it up. But I did take a little break from chatting and working to actually video him and learn about the process of pour overs. He was doing an Ethiopian blend and was explaining the pour over process and the weight of water versus coffee that you want to be able to get that perfect cup. So I did take a moment for that, but mostly here you kind of just see me talking to my friend and sharing ideas while I'm working at the same time. My friend and my wellness practitioner reminded me because I was a little concerned about having content about plants only. And she said it's really okay to sometimes take a break from the things that you love so much. It's okay to take a break and do something else, and people will understand and they'll love that too because you love it too. I needed that reminder. So that's me enjoying something else outside of the house, a little break, a little chat, and a little bit of coffee. And so that's what I'm sharing with you on this Vlogmas number 19 for me. I did finally go ahead and take a break from chattering. It seems like less work and more chatter now that I'm watching it. But I actually did get my work done, guys. But I did take a break and go over so that I could hear Felton's process, and I mic'd him up so you guys could hear the process too. You can just put it wherever you feel like you want to hit it. So that's fine. We should
All right. Okay. My name is Felton Jones. I am the Chief Roast Master for PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. And my purpose for coming here today is essentially to basically take you on a deeper journey into coffee. So everyone that's walking in these doors today, they're coming here because maybe it's their first time, but they're coffee people. And so they already have in mind what they want or what they're open to. I'm doing something a little different today that we don't do behind the counter, but it's not so much to offer something different in terms of a flavor of coffee. It's more about this is a different brewing style that if you take your coffee seriously, you want to have different experiences of how coffee comes out when you brew it in different ways. So this method that we're going to do today is a pour over method. One of the most common methods outside of your standard drip that most people are familiar with is French press. So if you have a French press at home, which a lot of people say, you know, when I start talking about different ways, people say, oh, I have a French press. I love my French press. And one of the things that I always ask them is, so are you grinding your own coffee? And even if they say yes, oftentimes, 9 out of 10 times, they may be doing so, but they're not familiar with the proper grind for French press. So grinding coffee is probably the most important thing that you can educate yourself on, because all of the different ways that we brew coffee, we do a hot drip. So one of the things I always say is you can go to Walmart and go to the small appliances aisle, and you can buy a Mr. Coffee hot drip maker. You can buy a pour over. You can buy a French press. You can buy a cold brew. You can buy an espresso machine. When you go over to the coffee aisle, on the coffee aisle, it is 90% ground coffee, very little whole bean. And many people pick up their favorite bag of coffee, their favorite flavor of coffee or what have you, and they take that ground coffee and they go home and they brew it like that. And they enjoy it. And so I always get asked, what is the best way to enjoy coffee? What's the best cup of coffee? My answer to that is your way, because that's all that matters. We're doing it by weight because we're going to introduce into the pour over, we're going to introduce our coffee along with the filter and whatnot, and then we'll tear that out. So now we need 350 grams of water. So as I'm doing this and I'm pouring this water over it, I'm watching the weight of it, because the ratio of coffee to water is what makes it the perfect cup. All right, so now one of the things that is going to happen, we're just waiting on our water to, all right, we're good to go. So, no, we're good. So I want you to see what's going to happen in here. So we have these grinds in here, and I'm going to just give a whiff of that. So if you're a coffee drinker, so the reason that you have that kind of aroma is because this is what we call a natural process. So when coffee is picked from the tree, the first point of action is to remove the coffee beans from these, what we call cherries. And those cherries, each one of those cherries contains 2 coffee beans. So the normal, most common process is to remove those, and then it goes through a drying process. What we're going to enjoy today is a process where they didn't remove the beans from the cherries. They dried the cherries with the beans in them, allowing the cherries to absorb the fruitiness. It will get more ripe. It'll taste more ripe. It'll be more fruit forward. And these coffees out of Ethiopia are always going to be citrusy forward. When you're grinding Ethiopian coffees, you just never know what you're going to get out of it. You might get citrus, you might get blueberry, you might get strawberry. There's a tendency for it to carry an aroma that doesn't necessarily carry over into the cup. So that's kind of the joy of taking the time and really going through the process. We poured and we allowed the water to sift through, and I gave it about maybe 30, 45 seconds. We weren't just dripping coffee at that point. We were allowing the grinds to bloom. And what we mean by blooming is these dry grinds, they're medium coarseness, but then when we hit it with water, obviously they're going to start to swell. And when they start to swell, they're opening themselves up to be able to get full extraction. So now as we're pouring our water, we're actually brewing coffee. Notice the paper is brown. And the reason that the filter paper is brown, you can buy standard filters and brown paper. When you're dealing with a very specialty coffee, you want to use brown paper or you want to use a screen. And the purpose of that is the filters that you see that are white, they're white because they're bleached. When you have something like this, you pick that cup up and you put that cup to your nose because now you want to prepare your senses to what you're about to experience, and that helps you to experience.
You take your time.
Take your time with it. We have it set up, and I want you to taste that.
I really enjoyed hearing about the coffee and pour over process of the Ethiopian beans, but I did finally make it back over to my friend. We got a little more work done and then we went and got food and drinks. It was a great night. Bye.